have finally all these like boop, 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 like popcorn, like little possibilities. And it's interesting to me because I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to feel this wave of like, I can now the end is near. I'm going to have this new change, but I really haven't felt it yet, other than those couple of glimpses. Hello, everybody. It's Marley Majcher from Every Day's a Train Wreck. Today, we've got another great episode with a fan favorite on a subject you guys love, astrology. So we've got our girl, Ashley McFarland with Shift and Shine. And based on what we were chatting about right before, Ashley's got all kinds of good stuff to share about what's happening in the universe, in the world, in the multiverse, whatever it is. Ashley, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thrilled to be here, Marley. And actually, I feel like we might have to talk about the fact that it has been hard.
Yes. And okay, so I always feel like when I'm talking to somebody like you who is, I hate to say, like connected to like a higher kind of thing, it becomes difficult. And it's just funny that the world has been kind of keeping us apart. We were doing this, we were having technical difficulties, then we're having a timing issue last time. Then it's like, okay, now we're here together. And you were
We
telling me something very interesting is happening today. And I definitely want to talk about that. But we also want to talk about like, you know, other other stuff that's happening on a broader sense in case because people aren't going to be listening to it today. They're
Yeah,
going to be listening to it next week. But
right.
so Ashley, tell us what's happening. What's going on? Why does it feel like, at least for me, everything's upside down? Thank God I've got the podcast with the title Every Day's a Train Wreck that I've got. But fill us in. What's happening, girl?
I know. I actually think every day is a train wreck is like the perfect sort of slogan for 2026. And I do. I think us getting together on a day where the sun in Gemini is meeting up exactly with Uranus in Gemini
And
is
isn't Uranus that stupid planet that just likes to mess with people? I mean, isn't Uranus, I feel like, is kind of the perpetual Mercury in retrograde. I know it's not Mercury, I get it, but it just feels like freaking every time I hear Uranus, first of all, the name just drives me insane. Second of all, I don't, I never know how to pronounce it right. And then it's just every time the blasted thing comes up, it's like there's a freaking problem. So fill us in. What is the deal?
Yeah. Well, on a day like today, I like that we get to connect through a medium like this, like a podcast, and we get to talk about sort of the universal energy, what's taking place. We get to share information that perhaps might awaken us to some truths that can be helpful, can be uncomfortable. And the reason why I used all of those words is because of that sun, Uranus. But because they are exact, we call this a cazimi. And this
A
has,
Kulandini? What do you call it?
it's called a cazimi in astrology when a planet meets up and is in the rays of the sun and they're exact. And it's considered something that has kind of an element of, I don't know if I want to say good fortune, but it just
Oh,
it creates
please,
kind of a
please,
like a superpower. Well, I
please.
was yeah. This is a trickier next couple weeks, but I think for today, I think what I want you to know, because Uranus is there is a theme with Uranus in Gemini right now. Um, but Uranus is an awakener planet. Uranus disrupts, Uranus incites change, Uranus is rebellious.
Did today it just make its way around the sun? Is it the birthday of the sun moving or no?
Well, so what happened was the sun moved into Gemini and it's meeting up with Uranus, who hasn't been in Gemini for 84 years. Uranus moved into Gemini at the end of April. It danced into Gemini last year in 2025 in the spring for a for a moment. It fell out in the fall, but it's here for what I like to call it's like its residency. It's going to be here for 7ish years in Gemini. And so it's interesting because Uranus in Gemini is, if Uranus is awakening and disrupting and doesn't follow a linear path, well, in Gemini, that's kind of that's a lot because Gemini is air, it's the energy of air. Gemini moves, it's adaptable, it is picking up on information, and so we anticipate having Uranus and Gemini, just kind of the theme of that of it being a time where communication, information, transportation, all of those things are going to be impacted. We are going to see big technology.
For 7 years?
It is, yeah. And with it, like, the element of inciting change is really to help us make sure that we're finding systems for these sort of Gemini things that can work. So maybe we do need to incite some change. Maybe things do need to shift because, it is working in some ways, not working in others, right? Like, we can look at AI, for example. AI is
Yeah.
going to transform our lives in so many wonderful ways and so many ways that are not going to be wonderful. And we're kind of at this point where we really have to ask ourselves, are we going to do what we did with the internet, right? Like back in the late 80s.
Evidently, and even at a much faster pace,
Oh,
right? But
absolutely.
I wanna
This
go
is, yeah.
before you go into that, I just need to know, is this is this change is what you're saying that we're gonna be upside down and topsy-turvy for, like, 7 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because here's the thing. When Uranus is in Gemini for the US, this period happens every 84 years. So we can go back to the American Revolution, the
oh
Civil
god.
War, and World War II. Those have all been at a time where the US has been in war. So it's no shocker we find ourselves again here in war.
How about at war with myself? Okay.
Yeah, well, that too. I think we're all going through that a little bit also. So yeah, it is an incredibly transitory period, especially for the US. This is what we call the Pluto return for the US. Pluto is the planet of, at its best, transformation, but Pluto is here to get to the root, to the bottom. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. Pluto is comfortable in all things that are taboo and unspoken, the grief, the trauma, the loss. But Pluto's here to be like, wait, if we don't get to the root of whatever the problem is here, it's going to continue to persist. And so it's
Imagine, that's the story of the world, right? If you just keep thinking that, "Oh, okay, I can just paint the house, but it's got, like, a bad foundation full of termites and rot," it's not gonna matter. You can paint all day long, but the termites, etcetera, are still there, so you've gotta fix the core issue.
exactly. And so we right here, we're like, this is 250 years this year. And even if we take the astrology part of it out, if you, right, just in like high school history, we learn like every empire, every 250 years, there is the fall of the empires and some shifting. And, so it's really, it's a big moment for us, for the US, for the world, and it's affecting obviously, things differently. But yeah, this is a moment, especially for the US, to really be like, okay, we've sort of placated things. We've sort of allowed this kind of inequality to exist under the guise of X, Y, or Z. And in an age with Uranus and Gemini, everything information gets more and more exposed. Um, and so and then that's tricky, right? Because then we're going to have to question the information. But all of our norms, things that we have sort of traditionally been like, oh, this is what it is. A lot of those norms are going to be flipped, and we're all going to have to be like, whoa, we've been lied to. There's going to be some people who won't accept it. There's going to be some people, so yeah, it's a,
And maybe it's just, like, the algorithm's playing tricks on me because I've clicked on other, like, articles and stuff about it, but I feel like it's coming to a head with all this UFO stuff,
yeah. Oh,
right? I
absolutely.
mean,
Mhm.
because it's like, we used to hear about UFOs, blah, 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 or like you watch the show The Twilight Zone and, it's kind of like, ha ha. And then, a few years ago, you started hearing more like, and there was kind of that like Skywalker Ranch show that I liked. And I was like, wow, there's like smart people that are really involved. But then in the last couple of years, and then especially even in like the last 6 months, it's sort of like, UFOs, these top people are saying, yes, they've seen them. More and more is coming out. And I just feel like that lid is about to be popped.
Yeah.
And that would make sense that freaking Uranus is involved in it.
Well,
What is the by the way, what is the proper pronunciation?
astrologers that I've studied with, like Uranus. I haven't heard Uranus, but I'm sure.
Okay, well that's unfortunately what I used to call it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think was
yeah.
all the
All right.
okay. Yeah.
And so what do we do with this information? Because so now we know we're stuck for 7 years with this. Well, first of
Mhm.
all, let's talk about today, even though when people listen to this, they can go back and say, "Hey, listen, what was a few days ago happening?"
Mhm.
Because 'Cause we're taping this on May 22nd. So this we're gonna pop this one up so it'll air May 22nd, 2026. So this will air next Wednesday. But let's say somebody's listening to it and they go, "Ooh, what was happening on Friday, May 22nd?"
Yes.
So what's the deal with the situation today?
So, on kind of a high level, when the sun, our external world, our vitality, like that planet that, really embodies that, meets up with an awakener planet, one that disrupts, one that has unexpected energy, incites change, I would think a couple things. And again, this is contingent on your chart. So, for everybody listening, I'd be like, look at where Gemini is taking place in your chart. I'll give you an example. For me, this is in an area of life where I might look at sleep, and my sleep has been very disrupted over the past couple days, and I came into
So is mine, and we're not the same sign. Like I was just like I had my whole sleep thing handled, and now I just so do not.
Yeah. Well, and listen, this is because again, Uranus is awakening us. And Mercury is also not too far. Mercury is at 9 or 10 degrees right now. And so it's not far away either. And Mercury is the mind. And so we've got the sun, the ego, our external world, the mind, and Uranus. And they're in sort of this dance, this little trio. And so, listen, anytime Mercury's in Gemini too, it is going to impact us. We should be more alert. We should be having much more kind of like ideation and perhaps like what is it, ruminating thoughts.
Mhm.
But specifically, if someone could go back again, just high level, I'd be curious of any kind of unexpected events that occurred, that were just like, whoa, I didn't think that was going to happen. I'd be
Like
curious.
today, meaning
Mhm.
specifically.
Yeah.
Got it,
And
on a
and
high level.
yeah, and maybe like a couple, the maybe
Yeah,
since like
a little
Wednesday
before and a
or
little
the
after.
weekend. Yeah. And then I would also think, what sort of things maybe, what sort of ahas or realizations or things that you're sort of being awakened to that you're like, oh, right, I know I need to do that. And I'm
Mhm,
not going to just let it go. I'll give
mhm.
you an example. I had a client yesterday and I was just getting ready. It was an in person. And they texted and they're like, oh my gosh, my car just got towed. And so I was like, "Okay." I mean, and granted, like, things like this happen all the time, but I couldn't help but be like, "Oh."
Of course it did,
Right.
right?
So, and yeah, and also Gemini rules their 2nd house of what I have, and, so anyways, that just yeah.
So when you say it rules the second house of I have, meaning so she had her car and then she did not have her car. Is
Well,
that what you mean
and
when
yeah,
you
I
say I
mean, and
have?
that's I'm kind of stretching it perhaps a bit, but I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this is our resources, this is our assets, this is what keeps us comfortable and quality, and this is Gemini and, transportation and communication, and we could no longer connect, and that was because the car was now gone."
right.
So yeah, I mean, it just
So
yeah.
what else do we is there anything good coming today and in these couple days? Like I need something good. You're like, I can tell by your face already. You guys, if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, make sure you go to our YouTube channel at The Prophet Goddess because you're gonna want to see her face because she's like, oh, I don't know, not so
I
much.
know.
Okay, so
Well,
should I stay under the covers today? What should
yeah,
we
no,
do?
you're fine. I'm like, so Monday the 25th, and I just want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, May 25th.
Memorial Day here in the States.
Yeah, we have Mars that will be squaring Pluto. Mars is the warrior planet. Mars, action will drive fiery Mars that wants to do. And Pluto, underworld, right? Like letting go. Pluto is toxic. Pluto wants control. Pluto is intense. Anytime these two meet up, this is usually tough. It's tricky. It's hard. And so anger and violence and things like
Yeah,
that tend to pop up. And so that I would just be mindful of how you're feeling on Monday and watch the news if you want to, who wants to anymore. But I don't know. So just like around this time too, we might anticipate that. But if I can give a glimmer of hope here, because
please do.
this is
Please do.
This is a tougher time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. One of the most favorable things that's coming up is in June. It's June 9th. And that's because Venus, the planet of what I value, what I enjoy. And so we talk about love, beauty, money, resources. Venus is in Cancer, where it's like it does fine in Cancer. It's not, it doesn't go, it's not over the top, it's not under. And that's important in the astrology world to look at the quality of the planet in the energy it's in. But Venus is one of our most benefic planets. It's going to meet up with Jupiter, the planet that I always like to call the cheerleader with the pom poms, because Jupiter is about growth and expansion and maybe in a modern astrology kind of way, abundance, like an opportunity. And they're both our benefic planets and they're both in Cancer. Jupiter's thrilled to be in Cancer because Jupiter can is like watered by the Cancer energy. It's nurtured, it's supported. And so when the two meet up, this doesn't happen. It happens every 12 years. And so this is like a lovely connection. And so if you were launching something for business or thinking about a money thing or maybe the sale of like just like whatever
Yeah.
big sort of things that could be happening, this would be a favorable day. I'm looking at launching a mail club, and so that right around that date is when I will be sharing about
And which date are you saying that that's gonna be?
that's June 9th.
So around June 9th, like, which is as we're taping this, kind of 2-ish weeks from now, a little 2.5
Mhm.
weeks, things start to like, it's favorable. It's
It is.
Jupiter
It is
time, it's
very.
Cancer watery time. Jupiter is Sagittarius, right?
Mhm. Because
Please
in
God tell me.
And Jupiter's expanding all that Venusian, money, love, beauty, resources, what I value, what I
Yeah,
enjoy, what is pleasurable, what I desire, what I attract. And
okay.
so this is just a favorable time. And so again, I can't say this enough. Anybody who's listening, if you know your rising sign or if you can look at your chart and find out where Cancer is in your chart,
Yeah.
this is a great way to tap into it. For you, I
Yeah, I was gonna say, girl, you better every time we do this have my chart. I
I know,
mean,
actually
yeah,
I do. I have it right here and I just want to
good.
confirm.
Thank God. Because today I
Um,
want it to all be about me, not
I know,
really you.
I know. Well, you're an Aries, girl. Like, okay, hold on. I
Oh, for my rising, I'm an Aries.
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
And yes, and that's what's really important when it comes to
Right.
looking at the horoscope. And so for you, and I don't know if I know some personal information.
First, feel free. My
Okay.
God, again, the podcast, everyone is called Every Day's a Train Wreck for a reason. So please feel free to share the personal. Yeah.
Well, last
About
we
me.
chatted, you
Yeah.
were putting house on the market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Cancer in your chart rules the home, the family, where we're rooted, our
Yeah.
traditions, home literally and figuratively. So I would imagine I would,
Yeah.
and granted, I'm not looking at like the transits in your chart, but this would be the area of life where I'd be like, I would hope, and again, that we're doing things to help with the sale. If you've already sold your home, I'd be like, this might be when money, like there's just something good here, or we sell around this time. Have you sold it yet?
No, no, no. It just literally went on like a week ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
God, so you're telling me it's good or
it
that I
is
put it on
very
the market or it's not good?
It is very good. I want to be really clear. We need to be active participants in like with the universe. So I never
Right.
want to be like, okay, we just sit back and whatever.
Right.
Okay, so knowing that you have this really favorable energy that's here to grow and expand your resources that are tied to your home, then I'd be like,
Good.
okay, right. Then we're listening to our realtor. We're understanding,
Yeah.
some of the, whatever the risks or the whatever that we need to take or doing extra marketing or whatever. But I
Yeah.
would hope that around like early kind of mid June that we see
Yeah.
some activity or there's an offer or something. And my God, will you let me know?
I was gonna say,
That's
you'll be
the
the
case.
first. I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna lose it." And what's so interesting is because I've been really so my daughter is a senior in high school. So she's gonna go off to University of Miami next year. And I am and it's always been like I mean, she's my 3rd, right? So, and I
Mhm.
was thinking, her oldest brother's 31, so it's like, no wonder I'm exhausted. I've got 3 kids. I've had children, literally children, until for the last 31 years.
Yeah.
And even though I've known, like, okay, this is my time where I can, like, do my ranch in San Ynez, where I can move, pivot. It's also a really weird time because it's like, I mean, I don't know how to say it. It's is it like it's like bittersweet, but
Mhm.
in the sense like my daughter, like, of course I'm sad. My daughter's gonna be going off to college, but that's her new chapter and it's super exciting. But also it's like I'm gonna have a new kind of freedom that, as I say, I haven't had. Well, Lord, I can't even remember when it was, but it certainly was 31 years ago. So more than half my life ago. And it's been amazing. But I, like, people are like, why are you selling your house? Like, and I just am like, I just need a change. Like, I'm the girl that buys the fixer upper every time. They're always like practically a block from each other. They're always mid-century modern that hasn't been touched. I come in, scrub it, like put my stamp on it, and then say woohoo, and call it a day.
Mhm.
And that's I just was like, no, there's nothing wrong. I just need I need a new adventure. Like I again, even if I buy a house that's 2 blocks from here and redo it, I just need something new.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is interesting in your chart is because you are an Aries rising.
Yeah.
That means that Aries rules self and identity, the I am.
Mm,
Now, Saturn has moved into Aries, and Saturn brings about some hardships, some delays, some lessons, some challenges. And so you're going through an identity shift. You're going, and it's hard.
yeah.
Right? And so this is just a time for you to really take in all of some of the challenges that arise for you to really at the end of it be like, okay, and this all the things that I've been through have really helped me find myself and now
Yeah.
I can better go out and assert and be the person that I am now because I'm not a mom who has children living in my home anymore. I'm
Right.
an empty nester. And
And
that is a new
it
identity.
completely. And
Mhm.
it's like, my daughter just turned 18. So it isn't like she's a toddler, right? And but at the same time, I mean, as a mom, you're always responsible for them, right? The quote,
Mhm.
you're only as a mom is only as happy as their saddest child, right? Because you like carry that with you.
Yeah.
And it's just what's interesting to me though is that I get little glimmers. Like I got a glimmer kind of last Sunday, or I'll get a little glimmer where I'm like, ooh, I'm
Mhm.
excited, right?
Yeah.
Like, woo, the new adventure. But I think because I've been so busy with work and stuff, it's like I haven't looked. I mean, I looked a little bit, but I haven't looked too much for the new house. And I'm sort of like, because I can always go to San Ynez, but that I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna like take my Airstream and redo it and just like cruise the country for the summer. Maybe I'm gonna go back down to Roatan where I love, and I have now a ton of friends down there. I was just down there a few weeks ago. And I have finally all these like boop, 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 like popcorn, like little possibilities. And it's interesting to me because I kind of thought, oh, I'm gonna feel this wave of like, I can now the end is near. I'm going to have this new change, but I really haven't felt it yet, other than those couple of glimpses. And I don't know if it's just because I'm so busy and too distracted to come up with it, to feel that way. But
Yeah.
where do you think that's coming from?
I know. Well, listen, I think it's because still you're trying to figure out who is this new person too. And so it's
Yeah,
easy to distract with work. But I would say, and again, like this isn't looking specifically at your chart, but
yeah,
if I think about I think you're selling your house at a really great time. I think what I would say to anybody right now is if you have thought about your future through the lens of sort of the traditional American dream
yeah,
and, stock portfolio,
yeah,
401k, and, and things go down, but they always come up. This is kind of the year I think where we really go, oh, okay, this might not be the safest thing. I think we get a glimpse of that. I think
hmm,
that we have seen the US dollar dip at different periods and
yeah,
it goes back up.
yeah,
And this is the first time that we don't see it.
Yeah.
restabilizing and going back up, and that
Yeah.
it's not that we're losing everything, it's just it's not going to be what it was, and that does impact us.
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
and again, it's not the full thing, but we start to see that. And so I what I say to anybody right now is, again, if we're
Yeah.
going through a big transitory period,
Yeah.
then to get really curious and creative with what life can look like, what different ways that we might want to invest that aren't so traditional, but that
Yeah.
will
Okay.
be really supportive for ourselves, and just to diversify. If everything is in one basket,
Mhm.
again, talk to your financial advisor.
Of course,
I'm
yeah,
not a
of course,
financial astrologer.
but
This
it's a
is,
good
you know,
listen, this what and I'm gonna let you finish, but the other thing too is we know this from even a business perspective, right? Like, you don't want one client to be the majority of your business. You don't want, like, your entire whatever it is to be only in one thing. You want to spread out the risk. I mean, you don't have to be like a financial advisor to subscribe to that to a certain extent, and I like what you're saying about that, and I also, I guess, part of my curiosity is for somebody like this year has just been such a like up and down, so many things with and especially with a girl and who's graduating, all the emotions and the friends and this group, I think, of kids who had the whole COVID thing when they did, I think they've got their own stuff of how things are affecting them. But how do you encourage people right now to kind of embrace the tumult and to, like, what questions or journal prompts can they say so that they're not freaked out but they are looking forward to it? Because sometimes when you just get in this zone of I got to get this done to get this, I'm gonna it you forget you're doing something because you're gonna have like a new cool outcome or a new cool, you know role.
yeah. I think what I would say, number one, is, especially when I think about just the kind of intensity of Uranus and Gemini, and the amount of information we're going to be inundated with, that we're already been inundated with, I
Yeah.
think we really have to have boundaries. And
Mm,
really, like, okay, this is where it's unhealthy. This is where, it's not grounding. Any kind of grounding that we could do, especially when we have so much happening in air and so much happening in fire, that if we can really have ritual and practice around being
mm,
present. And again, whatever that looks like for you, if that looks like prayer at church, if that looks like taking your
yeah.
shoes off and going on the grass, whatever that is.
So funny. I've had so many conversations with people this week about, like, earthing and taking their
Mhm.
shoes off and getting in the grass. It keeps coming up. So maybe the message for me is I need to take my shoes off and get in the grass, because I can't even tell you how many times this exact random subject has continued to come up. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. And then, but as I say, like prayer, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that it just kind of it almost feels like that Mercury in retrograde component where you sort of go in
Yeah.
and calm yourself down.
Right. Well, and I think too, it's just, yeah, we really need to, I guess, the other thing I would say also is with water, just the ability to, to feel and to really release emotions. If we're carrying so much anxiety and stress
Yeah,
and things up here, we've really got to process those, and not just intellectualize them, because I think that's what we can do with a lot of air,
yeah,
and that's helpful, but we're still not processing full, like, we're not releasing. And so
right.
I think water can be really incredible for that. But
So it isn't just that, like, I want to highlight that point, because what I think you're saying is it isn't just the processing. You've got to process and then you have to, like, let it go. It's like food poisoning. I mean, you can't just kind of like digest the bad chicken. We got to get it out of your system.
yeah, exactly.
Right? So, do you do what Viola says, which is, like, write it all out and then burn it, or what's
Yeah.
your method?
Well, so I always like to look at someone's chart for this, but I'll give you mine. For example, I can intellectualize a lot. My moon, my inner world, my feelings and emotions are in Gemini. And so I can say, wow, that person hurt me, but I understand their trauma. I have learned
Mm,
enough and deep dove on what it looks like to have that kind of mother wound. So wonderful. I can, whatever. But what I do is, like, I have a specific date that is every month, and I should do this more often, but I go and I have a forced cry. And so whatever it is, and I
Ooh,
schedule
interesting.
out a time, and so if I haven't had that through whatever, my cycle, or had a moment of,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
then this is just the time, and I really sit with all of the uncomfortable things. And for me, I don't like to write, I like to speak. And
Okay.
so that's what works for me, but I
So you
do.
just like yell into your like voice memos, or what do you do? Or do you just talk to yourself in the shower? And because as soon as I tried to have a forced cry, I'm sure it'd be the one time I couldn't cry.
Right. Well, and I think, that's a practice too in itself of figuring out what that is. But I really, I look at myself in the mirror and I really say the uncomfortable things, the shame, the fears, the grief, the whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
it's good. Or I'll put on a really nostalgic song, or, like there's other
Yeah.
things, I
Something
watch a
just to like
movie. Yeah.
the equivalent of like like smelling onions or something, just something to get and then boom. Because what you're saying is you just got to purge your system and you do it once a month and you should do it maybe more often.
Yeah. And then I think, something just for maybe more of my woo-woo girlies out there.
Yeah.
There is a soap that I use. It's Florida water, and it's like a soap from the like 1900s.
Oh, what is it
And
called?
like Florida water is actually, I think, the technical name for it.
Okay.
But it was a
I don't think so.
cologne that was from way back in the day, but there's a lot of cultures, especially in the Caribbean, that have used that cologne and have
Hmm.
used it with soap. And so in the shower, I use that once a week, and out loud I say to the universe, with this water, with this soap, like, please release any and all energy that doesn't serve my highest good, any emotions, any whatever. And so, and I know that's not for everyone, but I think it
Fine, but
can
for the
be.
people who are it's for, I mean, again, they're listening to Every Day's a Train Wreck, right? So obviously,
Try this
you're not
soap.
we're not Bloomberg here in case somebody missed the memo. All right. All right.
So,
And so what does Florida water smell like?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite smell, but I this is why I like the soap, because I also have the cologne, but I use it for, like, clearing my space if I'm, creating any of my ritual bath soaks, or whatever. So I use it to just, like, cleanse my space, because it would cleanse it, but also there's,
So
like,
that is
an
that the
energy thing.
purpose? Like if I go and find Florida water, the purpose of Florida water is like, does anybody think it smells good? Like, does anybody put it on like perfume, or do you use Florida water to genuinely cleanse?
I know, there might be some people who like the smell. There genuinely are people who like the smell. I have a harder time
The
with it.
people who make Florida water. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I know. I'm like, God, I can't remember the company's name. I think it starts with an H, but it really is. It's an old time thing. So, but I think.
But that was the original purpose of it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I love it.
I think right now, if I could give any other kind of medicine too, is this would just be a time also where, whatever your spiritual practice is, this is just a really good time to really, like, integrate it. It is ritual. So if you know and you've learned a ton about meditation, or you have gone to church and you're Catholic and you've studied the Bible and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so then this is when I'd be like, okay, but now we find ritual and practice where we meditate on a certain cadence, whether that be like every morning,
Okay.
or we go to church twice a week or once a week or whatever the thing is. But
Yeah.
we really, this isn't a time to, this is a time to really get grounded in and really integrate what that spiritual practice is.
Interesting.
And if you're not there yet either, if spirituality still feels like, "Whoa," then I just wanna be like, take a walk in nature. Like, really by yourself, minimal technology.
Mhm.
Try to go on a hike and not take a single picture.
Well, that and the thing is too, there's a whole trend about I mean, obviously about unplugging, and
Yeah.
my publicist and I were just talking about this whole trend too, because as we're getting ready to pitch stuff to the media, is like phone free events and, not even taking a single picture at an event. And it's so hard, yet it's like I hate the phone sometimes so much, right? Like I just like I don't want to respond to
Yeah.
text and blah. And yet it's like we're like junkies. We can't give it up. But there is so much data. I mean, I remember there's one of my favorite books is I think How to Become or Be Like Leonardo da Vinci, something along those lines. And there are all these studies about how walking, outside the fresh air or seeing the blue sky, how that affects your mood. And, then we've got the whole Japanese forest bathing and all that kind of stuff, which is effectively what you're saying, right? You're saying
Yeah.
pick whatever cultural kind of thing, but integrate it and do it regularly. And I think in routine, as much as my ADHD brain probably needs routine and but still screams with it,
Mhm.
is it does have its own grounding effect. And there is something calming about I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna do this, as opposed to just kind of hiding from stuff that because that just makes it worse.
Yeah. Our existence, we're part of nature. We are intended to be in nature. And
Yeah.
with technology and just modern civilization, we find ourselves in, right, in cubicles, work,
Yes.
just everything is so, we have to make that like, an intentional part of our day.
Yeah.
But it's nature is healing. Nature, it's here like for us. So yeah, and I do like even in in my world, like there's a lot too where I'm like the trend and what we're seeing a lot is moving towards things that are more analog. And
Right.
and at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to launch a mail club, and that's the snail mail clubs, and I'm not sure if you're been inundated
No, what
in.
tell it tell okay, so tell us about that because what is a mail club?
So it's basically it's just the idea that from an artist or creator or whatever that every month or whatever the person is doing that you receive just a 5 by 7 or whatever letter in the mail that either many artists do this, and this is what I've been seeing is is you'll get art that perhaps you wouldn't normally have access to because it's really expensive, but you get a
Mhm.
small print, you get stickers, you might get like a little calendar, a QR code to an activity. But it's just this like exciting thing that you get in the mail that you have to wait for, and you open it up, and it's tangible, it's here, it's not
So
digital.
is it like an individual writing you a letter?
Yeah, so from the artist or whatever, there's a letter, and it doesn't have to be, right? But that's
Right,
typically what I've seen. But I was like, I would love to do this because ADHD here, I always have
right,
new little creative ideas and I want to make
right.
this thing and do this thing. And I was like, if I got to do this every month and share, the astrological forecast in a letter, you get a little
Oh,
mini pop-up calendar
cool.
with the full moons and the new moons. You get a QR code to learn more about how this personally impacts you. You get stickers and for your zodiac sign, like just
Oh,
things,
I love
right?
this.
Yeah, so but I'm seeing this in, like, many different kind of industries, and I think
Yeah.
artists were the initial ones, but I just share this because, right, we're seeing this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see, Apple and whoever making more analog kind of phones. We should see just more in IRL experiences, like you were saying, where no
Yeah.
technology.
That's interesting because a couple things like hopping on those trends. There's this one with, for events where you have the telephone and some of them look really modern and some of them look old school and some of them look super like practically Victorian. And, let's say it's for a wedding and you leave the couple a message. And the irony is that it looks analog kind of, but I don't know if a phone can be analog if it's the base the base of it because it's still got, but it's of course powered by some kind of app or something, and everybody leaves the good wishes for the bride and groom, like, "Oh, this is so great. I'm so glad we're here for you." And, "Oh, you guys are a great couple." And then they have those messages, which I think is amazing. And it's kind of that idea. And then you're reminding me, God, it's probably been 10 years where I used to get an art thing every month from, and I'm trying to think what club or whatever I got it, but it was like you would get your monthly, one month would be like charcoal pencils and how to do
Oh.
charcoal drawings and blah 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 from this artist. And then the next month would be watercolors and everything to do with da 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 da. Da. So your version is going to be, so go a little deeper. Well, first of all, tell us where they can find it. Has it launched yet?
No, I'm gonna be launching, well, I'll be talking about it. There'll be a wait list on June 9th, that really favorable day.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
yes, and then signups will be
How
right
can
at
they
this.
get on the wait list?
What's that?
Say it
Oh, on
again.
my website,
Okay,
shiftandshine.com.
what shiftandshine.com. Okay, that's where you can get on the wait list. And by the way, this is the perfect time, the perfect opportunity to say that if you guys think anybody who's creative, anybody who loves astrology, etc., make sure to forward this episode to them because they're going to love it. And it's a great gift idea. And it's just like, tell them, oh my gosh, I saw this or I heard this and I thought of you. So let's just
Oh, thank
do
you.
that for the shout out for shiftandshine.com. But so you are, okay. So every month so you're going to have this wait list. People are going to sign up for it. And then do you know how much it's going to cost yet?
It's gonna be $13. I'm trying to figure out how to get a little, like, maybe $11, but it'll be in that range, 11 to 13.
Okay.
And so, yeah, right now, how I have it built out is every month you'll get a letter that includes kind of the high level forecast for that zodiac
Yeah.
season. So the
Yeah.
first one is gonna be for Leo season, because you'll get
Ooh,
to sign up during Cancer season. So the sign up
okay,
will be like fully live for anyone on June 20th. But so
okay,
the week before Leo season, which I believe is the 22nd of July this year, is when you'd receive
okay.
the first post from me. And so yes, it will include the letter. It will, yeah, share all that. You'll get the calendar with, the different moons and what's happening. And so this would, yeah.
Wow.
And then yeah, and then there'll be different like Leo stickers and and an activity. And I'm still working out all the details. But every month we'll have something that is a surprise and is unique to the month. So, there's, or not to the month, excuse me, but to the zodiac
Yeah,
season.
so you're gonna
Mhm.
okay, so you get basically this package, and at the end of the day, what it is you're looking forward to getting mail.
Yeah.
That is not electronic, that is not a bill, that's not saying you did something wrong. It's like, "Yay, I can look forward to this every month."
Yeah. But my hope is to have an affirmation card slash oracle card, and you'll get one every mail too, and it will create a.
Oh, awesome.
Uh-huh, and so, yeah, it'll be oracle affirmation style, but that will also
I love it.
speak to the zodiac season. So again, if Leo season is connected to the sun and is about us being warm and generous and shining big and bright and owning our authenticity, it would be like a affirmation, like to support that kind of energy. So
How did you get the idea?
TikTok. And just
Oh,
artists, 'cause
really?
yeah, and
Really?
so I subscribe to a couple different artists, and get and get theirs, and so I just was like, "I wanna do this for me because I'm
Yeah,
always, that's my problem is there's always some little creative something that I wanna
yeah,
do, and I thought this might be just a nice way because I also like to do a little bit of, like, design work, and
yeah.
so,
You
anyway,
get
we're
to
still.
dabble. You get to dabble and have fun. This is what a great idea. Well, you can get it at shiftandshine.com. So, Ashley, anything else that any action items we can give people, words of encouragement to jump into this magical time of Uranus and Gemini for the next 7 years?
Yeah, but I think what I would say is to find out also where Leo and Aquarius is in your chart, what areas of life they rule. You can do that with the rising sign. You can do it on Channy.com. You could DM me on Instagram, Shift and Shine.
Okay, what are your shift and shine on
Mhm,
Instagram, right?
mhm.
So
And
people
so
can DM you and say, "Hey, listen, how can I work with you?" Or wait, what was that you said on the podcast? Okay, got it.
yeah, I would always help someone find their rising sign because that is, as a traditional Western astrologer, your rising sign just gives so much because you understand then what areas of life are being impacted. And the reason
Yeah.
I bring up Leo and Aquarius is because that's where the eclipses are going to be taking place over the next year and a half. And so we had
Ah.
our first Aquarius eclipse back in February, and February was kind of wild. We have our next eclipse in Leo that's going to be taking place here in August. It will also wrap a final Pisces eclipse from the eclipses that we're just wrapping up. This is a new series. That's why I bring this up. But eclipses They happen twice a year, but they're moments to really get us in the best way back on track and in the direction that we need to be going. The eclipses
Love it.
impact all of us differently depending on what's going on in your chart, depending on if there's planets, if they're on angles. So don't worry,
Right.
that's really in the weeds. But what I want you to know is to just understand what areas of life might have some unexpected events, might have some fated things that take place. That's important. I just think it's important for anyone to know where the eclipses are happening in your chart.
Yeah.
And then also Jupiter, our benefic Jupiter, the cheerleader with the pom poms, growth and expansion, is moving into Leo and will be in Leo at the same time that the eclipses are taking place. And so, in some ways, I was, again, I don't want to make everything seem lovely with Jupiter because it's not always, but
Yeah.
it is. It's here for growth. So that area of life too, we've got Jupiter really cheering you on. And so, for example, for me, this is impacting where I would look at my earned income, my
Mm,
resources. And
mm.
so I'm going to be taking more action to help grow my monies, right? With
I love.
having Jupiter in Leo there. So again, for you, this would be in the fifth house of, or in your area of life with creativity and romance and really kind of getting to know more of the playful side of you, like reconnecting with inner child.
So funny. Amen. Because
Hmm.
that's totally a zone I've been in, is just like being way more creative and just way more like, oh my gosh, I just want to be doing cooler podcasts, more like just funny social media things, just like kind of participating in cool summits, like whatever. I think if I
Yes.
like it, then I'm kind of like, let's jump in and let's get creative with it.
Yes, that's exactly it. So, anyways, but that's the beauty of knowing, right? Your
Right.
rising sign helps you understand where everything's at. So, Leo and Aquarius eclipses, I think everyone should just know where that is. So,
I love it. And okay, Ashley, so how can people find you once again on Instagram
yes.
at Shift and Shine,
Mhm. Um,
and your website, shiftanshine.com?
yes. And then TikTok is Ashley Shines, and just as
Ashley, say it again. Ashley
Ashley.
shines?
Mhm.
Oh, there you go. Ashley does shine. Well, there you go. Okay, so from one Jupiter girl over here to any of the other Sagittarians out there and all the other signs, I loved having you. I always do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
same.
message you. I'm not gonna DM you. I'm gonna text you and say, "Girl, I need a reading," because man, I need some good detailed juju from you. So I
Yes.
love it. You guys, thank you so much for listening. This is Marley Major. That wraps another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. If you have not already, please subscribe, like, comment, and very importantly, tell a friend and share an episode. And you can find these with the video on our YouTube channel at The Prophet Goddess. So there you go. Ashley, thanks again.
Thank you
And
so
let's
much.
go manifest. And everybody go sign up for that new deal Ashley's got going on. I think it's very cool. I love it.
Thank you. This
Okay.
was so fun.